The day it happened, I didn't even know who she was. We were on a diplomatic mission to the newly discovered planet of Zereth 9, a place that hummed with bioluminescent forests and air thick with violet mist. Humans had barely stepped foot there, and I had been assigned as a junior technician responsible for scanning alien biosignatures. The alien woman, as I would later learn, was called Lysera, a member of the Zerathi High Council, the ruling class of her people. I didn't know that yet. All I knew was that she had appeared suddenly beside me, inspecting the same control panel I was adjusting. "Watch your step," she said in a soft, melodic tone that carried an otherworldly resonance. She leaned slightly to see the console better, and somehow, my hand brushed against her. It was quick, accidental. My face burned hotter than the twin suns overhead. I yanked my hand back as if she had just stung me. Lysera's eyes widened, not in anger, but in what I can only describe as recognition. And then she smiled a knowing, mischievous smile that made my knees go weak. "I'll remember this," she said in her alien tongue, a language that I didn't understand, but somehow her tone carried meaning. Something like a marking. I laughed nervously, muttering apologies. "I didn't mean." She nodded as though my apology was unnecessary. Then she stepped away, gliding with grace that no human could replicate. That was the last I saw of her, until 7 years later. 7 years later. I had returned to Earth after completing my mission, trying to put the incident behind me. Work, routine, and human company filled the void, but I never forgot Lysera's smile. There was a pull, a sense of unfinished business. Then, one day, the Interstellar Council sent a notice. A diplomatic envoy was arriving on Earth's orbital station, and the High Council had requested my presence. I expected a formal alien delegate. I did not expect her. Lysera stepped off the shuttle, her violet skin shimmering in the station lights. She looked different, older, taller, stronger. Her markings, which I now knew were a sign of her noble status, glowed faintly along her arms. And when her eyes locked with mine, my heart skipped. "You," she said. Her voice was low, carrying the same melodic resonance as before. I opened my mouth, but words failed. "I've returned," she said, stepping closer. "Because you promised." I frowned. "Promised what?" She tilted her head, her gaze unwavering. "You said we would be together when we grew up." I froze. That was 7 years ago. I had spoken the words in a half-joke to a creature I barely understood, not knowing she would remember. I. Her smile widened. "And now it is time to fulfill that promise." Before I could protest, she placed her hand on mine, anchoring it to her. The council members, human and alien alike, murmured in shock. My mind raced. Claimed me as her husband? The claim. In Zerathi culture, a verbal acknowledgement in the presence of witnesses can bind a promise across lifetimes. I had just inadvertently created a binding contract. Lysera's lips curved knowingly. "You are mine, and I am yours." Panic mixed with awe. I stammered, trying to find a polite way out, but there was no escape. The council's elders nodded approvingly. They recognized the bond, and it was binding. "You can resist," Lysera said softly, "but I promise you will not regret it." And with that, she pulled me gently into the ceremonial chamber aboard the station, adjusting to life together. The next few weeks were an adjustment. Lysera introduced me to Zerathi customs, morning rituals of energy synchronization, where she shared her life force to maintain health and longevity. Telepathic connection exercises, where our thoughts intertwined, revealing emotions I had never known. The Council of Bonds, where bonded pairs underwent trials to prove the strength of their connection. Every day was intense. I had to learn to navigate her alien physiology, her mental resonance, and the expectations of a society that valued bonds above all else. Yet, even amid challenges, there were moments of lightness. She would tease me about my clumsiness, and I would laugh, marveling at her grace. "You know," she said one evening, as we watched Earth spin from orbit, "I could have returned alone. I didn't need to claim you, but I wanted you truly." And just like that, the accidental touch from 7 years ago became a story we would tell across worlds. The test of the bond. It wasn't all easy. Other aliens, envious, ambitious, or resentful, saw me as an outsider who had gained favor undeservedly. One night, during a council gathering, a rival attempted to challenge my right to be bonded with her. Lysera's eyes glowed fiercely. She stepped between me and the challenger, and suddenly, the room was filled with her life force energy, a display so powerful that it left every council member silent. "I chose him," she said, her voice echoing like a song. "Not because of status, power, or politics, but because I saw his heart. No one can break this bond." The challenger faltered, realizing the depth of their connection. I stood beside her, hand in hers, finally understanding the strength of what we shared. A moment of peace. After the trial, she took me to a balcony overlooking the violet forests of Zirith. 9. "I never imagined," I said, "that an accidental touch would lead to this." She laughed softly, resting her head on my shoulder. "Accidents often have the most profound consequences." That small gesture marked the beginning of our story. And now we begin the rest of our lives. I smiled, squeezing her hand. For the first time, I understood what it meant to belong, not just to a person, but to a universe that suddenly felt smaller, closer, and filled with possibility. The ending. Lysera leaned forward, her forehead touching mine. "Do you remember the promise?" I nodded. "I do, and Io will never forget it again." She smiled, and in that moment, the stars seemed to shine brighter. Not because of their light, but because of the bond we shared, a human and an alien, connected by an accidental touch, a childhood promise, and the choice to remain together across worlds. The galaxy watched, silent and in awe, as we took our first steps together as partners, as equals, and as husband and wife. No council, no rival, and no distance could undo what had been set in motion by a single, fleeting moment. And as the twin suns rose over Zirith, 9, I knew one thing for certain. I was exactly where I was meant to be.